Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ron, and recently I put up another Deep Rock poll. This was on which weapon did you like the most out of all the primary weapon winners. So we already did the primary weapons for each of the classes, and out of those ones, the winners were the Flamethrower for Driller, the Autocannon for Gunner, M1000 Classic for Scout, and the Loki Smart Rifle for Engineer. Out of them, we had the Flamethrower actually coming in first out of all of this at 30%, the Autocannon coming in at second at 28%, the Loki Smart Rifle coming in at 24%, and the M1000 coming in at 19%. This is out of about 6,000 votes, and I find this kind of surprising because some of the very first comments that I got out of this poll were people just saying that this feels similar to just picking your favorite class, which we did a poll on that too, which I was curious if that would actually be true or not going into this, because I figured maybe out of the most popular class, we would just have everybody sorted that way. However, we did not, because in the most popular class, well, besides having every class being the most popular class, because I didn't put that as an option, in terms of votes, Engineer would be the most popular class. Engineer got 21% of the votes, I believe, when we did the popularity contest, so the Loki Smart Rifle should be leading then, which it's not. It's at 24%, it's in third place. Only above the Scout's M1000 Classic by 5%. Also, conversely, Gunner had the least amount of votes, with Gunner only having, I think, 12 or 13% of the total votes when we did popularity class, but Autocannon is the second most picked out of this. That's pretty interesting, I would say. I know a lot of people really like all these weapons. I do too. They have really fun overclocks. They're really good weapons overall. The Flamethrower, pretty straightforward. A lot of people said they just really like the flame. It's a super easy weapon to get started with. It's a very reliable weapon, so it's great for if you're a beginner at the game. Flamethrower, pretty easy. Point the flame at whatever you're trying to kill. Burn it until it's dead. Not much to say about that. Has some other kind of techniques that you can do, like just lighting the ground on fire and waiting for enemies to walk across it. You can also light things like sludge on fire, assuming you have another driller. It also has a thermal shock. A lot of people like the thermal shock ever since Wave Cooker came out, and they kind of nerfed it. Well, made it work the way that it was supposed to, because Wave Cooker was a bit too good at that point. And it's great for veterans too, because you can throw any overclock that you want on the Flamethrower, and it'll work on the majority of missions. There's only a couple of missions where the Flamethrower is not necessarily the best at, like elimination missions, but even then you can throw Face Melter on it and get away with it pretty easily. And it's really good on the robot missions now, because you can just light them on fire and kill them instantly. Autocannon being second, I was kind of surprised at. I figured Autocannon would actually be the first, because so many people really like the Autocannon, and a lot of people point out that the Autocannon really doesn't have any bad overclocks, similar to the Flamethrower. You can kind of throw whatever the heck you want on it and take it on just about any mission, and it will do well. There are a few occasions where certain overclocks won't do well on certain missions, but the Autocannon will do well consistently on every mission. Something like Big Bertha will not do incredibly well on like Swarmageddon. It'll still do fine, but it won't do incredibly well like Carpet Bomber or Neurotoxin. Neurotoxin won't do incredibly well in robot missions, but something like Big Bertha or Splintering Shells definitely will. So you got a lot of options there, and for the longest time when I had this poll up, Autocannon and Flamethrower were actually neck and neck at, I think, 29 to 30% the whole time. Third place with the Loki isn't too surprising. It is Engineer's most popular weapon, at least from our polls that we did, and it does give you long, effective range. It has some really strong overclocks. Executioner is great for killing anything, really. Explosive chemical rounds, also really good for killing basically everything, crowds especially. And then the M1000 Classic coming in last. That one's a little bit surprising to me, but it's not trailing by that much. M1000 Hipster was said a lot. Hipster is super strong. Minimal Clips was also said. A lot of people kind of sleep on Minimal Clips. I think it's actually a really good overclock, especially if you like using the focus shots, because you get 9 effective focus shots, at least if you build it the way that I usually build it. You get 9 focus shots that can one-shot, body shot regular grunts. So aside from just doing the most popular weapons, I also did the least popular weapons and primary weapons, and I think we should talk about them here in this video as well. So out of the primary weapons that I guess lost the popular pick, for Driller we had the Corrosive Sludge Pump, for Gunner we had the Hurricane, for Scout we had the GK2, and for Engineer, we had Stubby. All these weapons can be pretty decent in their own way. Yes, there is some problems with some of them, especially compared to some of their other counterparts within their own class. So out of these, we had first place by quite a big margin going to the Sludge Pump. Not too surprising there. Second place and third place, I guess, technically being a tie between Stubby and Hurricane. That one surprised me quite a bit more. I wasn't expecting Stubby and the Hurricane to actually tie. And then the last gun being the GK2. That one I was not surprised at being the lowest. At least I wasn't too surprised. I figured the GK2 and Stubby would actually be competing, not Stubby and the Hurricane competing. Kind of surprised by that. So Sludge Pump, a lot of people pointed out the armor breaking on it is amazing. The slowdown is great. You get a lot of utility with it. It's just that a lot of people picked it as their least favorite driller weapon, and the driller weapons were actually very competitive with one another. They were only like 5 to 10% off of one another, so they were all really close. Whereas pretty much all the other weapons weren't like that. The Hurricane trailed behind the minigun and the autocannon by about 10%. Stubby trailed behind the Loki and the Warthog by about 20%, and the GK2 trailed behind the Drac and the M1000 by like 20-25%. It was kind of surprising with that. Sludge Pump has some great overclocks, has some really strong overclocks of volatile impact mixture, disperser compound, sludge blast, hydrogen ion additive. Hurricane also has some pretty good overclocks, and it's very flexible. Now, Stubby actually matching the Hurricane, like I said, was surprising to me. Stubby is a good overall weapon. I really like it. Refire Booster is probably my favorite overclock for it, and it makes Stubby feel really good. But Turret EM Discharge, a lot of people pointed out, is their favorite overclock, and it is a really strong overclock. Turret Arc, some people liked that too. Really good on Dreadnought missions, really good on Hold the Point missions. Does take a lot of time to get used to, but pretty solid. And Stubby really doesn't have any bad overclocks. They're all actually pretty decent, at least when used in some combination. And then GK2, a lot of people said it still feels a little bit underwhelming, still feels a little bit underpowered. I'm not sure about underpowered, more underperforming. I made a whole video about that. It is a very basic assault rifle. A lot of people pointed that out as both a pro and a con. Some people really like it, some people really don't. I think that's fair. I feel like the GK2 should probably get a little bit of a buff. We will be doing this again with the secondaries, and we'll also be doing it with the grenades for each class. I'm really curious about how the grenades are going to go. It's always fun to do these polls. I plan on doing a whole lot more of them throughout the channel. Some of them will make into videos, some of them I just want to have as like experiments or fun things for people to vote on. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks to the supporters of this channel. I really do appreciate that. If you'd like to become one, there are links down in the description. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.